Welcome back to This is Baseball. My name is Brandon Johnson. Thank you for listening today. It's been a while since we've talked some current baseball happenings, so I wanted to just chime in a little bit as to what I am seeing and really put a heavy focus on the American League Central and what's going on there. So, because as I look at it now, as I'm recording this, the Detroit Tigers are 32-17, and they're 5 games up on the Twins. And I'm starting to wonder if the Tigers are going to end up running away with the American League Central. And I know that 5 games is not a lot when you're talking about May 22nd, but they have the biggest gap in between first and second place in any division. The next closest is the 4.5 game lead that the Yankees have over the Boston Red Sox. But I say that about the Detroit Tigers, that maybe they're going to run away with the division, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Central is going to stink, because there's 4 teams with winning records in the Central, and all are within at least 5.5 games of first place. The Minnesota Twins, we all know that they went on their 13-game winning streak that finally got snapped, but they went from a team that I thought that their manager was one of the managers that was kind of on the hot seat in the season, and he might still be, but they went from, oh my gosh, the Twins are going to be really bad, to now they're in second place, and they currently have a wild card spot. Not only do they have a wild card spot, but they have the first wild card spot, which is kind of interesting, because if the season ended today, 4 teams in the American League Central would make the playoffs. You would have Detroit winning the Central, and then Minnesota, Cleveland, and Kansas City. And I'm going to make the case again. I've talked about it a few times, but I still believe out of the 4 teams, the Twins, Royals, Guardians, that can catch Detroit, I think that it is between the Royals and Twins, because if you look at the ERA leaders, Royals are in second place, have a 3.01 ERA behind the New York Mets, and then Minnesota's in third place right there. The Twins have a leg up on the Royals offensively. Twins are kind of right in the middle of the road from an offensive standpoint. The Royals unfortunately have a bottom 5 offense, and that's their biggest issue, where I would say ever since Vinny Pasquantino's injury last September, it feels like the Royals offense has just not really gotten back to what they kind of were throughout last season. The thing that is keeping them going is obviously the pitching is stellar. They have just phenomenal pitching from the starting rotation all the way into the back end of the bullpen, which is actually better than where they were last year. Last year, they had a great rotation through all of the season that stayed healthy, and then it took about halfway through the season to make some trades to finally get the bullpen in a spot where they felt comfortable and confident that their bullpen could get them somewhere. This year, it's all the way through. The only issue now is there's a little bit of health issues. You have Seth Lugo on the IL. Cole Reagans is now on the IL. It sounds like they won't be gone too long, but the nice thing is you've had players step up, where Chris Bubich, a player that I honestly kind of wrote off as a starter, is having Cy Young type numbers and has had kind of a career resurgence as a starter. Michael Lorenzen has come in and been serviceable. Michael Wacha as well, still steady like he was last season. Noah Cameron has come in for the Royals, and he's thrown 2 starts and has a .71 ERA, has 6.1 innings pitched in both of his starts. So he's been a nice player that was just kind of doing some spot starts, but maybe he'll get to stick around a little bit so we can see more of him. And so if you can add him to hopefully a healthy Cole Reagans that can come back and rack up strikeouts and hopefully get deeper into games, and then have Seth Lugo as well, you're still going to feel really good about the Royals pitching staff. But back to the offense, there's a lot of concerns, major concerns. Like, I look at the roster right now, and I'm just going to start with Bobby Witt Jr. because he's doing exactly what you would expect him to do. He had a fantastic season last year and only lost MVP because Aaron Judge had the season that he had. Aaron Judge is having an even better season this year than he did last year, so Bobby Witt Jr.'s MVP hopes might be small this year too, but Bobby Witt Jr. leading the league in doubles. He has 18. He's hitting over 300, 367 on base, doing all the things that you want him to do. 16 stolen bases. Maybe been caught stealing a little bit more than you would like him to. He's been caught stealing 5 times. 26 RBIs, 5 home runs, and 3 triples. So nobody's really concerned about him, which nobody was going to be anyway. I want to talk about Vinny Pasquantino, though. Vinny Pasquantino, for me, I think he's headed in the right direction. Early on, it was, oh my goodness, what is happening with him? What's wrong with him? And he's getting there. He's not hitting for average like you would want him to. Like, you look back to last year, he hit 262, and he had a 315 on base percentage before the injury. This season, he's hitting 229 with a 277 on base percentage, so he's not getting on base at the rate that you would hope that he is. He is leading the team in home runs. He has 8 home runs. He's leading the team in RBIs as well. He has 28, which is 2 more than Bobby Witt Jr., and he has 5 doubles. So he's getting there. I think as the season goes on, he'll bring that average up to 250, and we'll forget all about it this season. But you need players like Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino to be the glue to keep this team together. The biggest concern that I have is Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez has had a rough go at things so far this season. So let's just look at the 2024 Salvador Perez. 271 batting average, 330 on base. He had 27 home runs at 104 RBIs. This season, hitting 213 through 47 games with a 317 on base. He has 2 home runs and only 21 RBIs. And he hasn't hit a home run since April 13th. So it's been over a month since he's hit a home run. For somebody that hit 27 last year, he's going to hit like 12 home runs, which would be one short of a career low for him. And his lowest batting average in a season was 235 in 2018. So he's well on his way if he doesn't pick it up to having a career low there. So you have to wonder, this is his 14th year in the league, and he is 35 years old. You have to wonder if this is just the year that time has caught up to him. That's kind of what it's looking like, at least through the first almost 2 months of the season. And let's just look at Salvador Perez's career, though, and what he's accomplished. So 9-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, 5-time Silver Slugger, World Series MVP in 2015. He won the Clemente Award. To me, Salvador Perez is one of the best catchers of his generation. I think he's easily one of the best offensive catchers. Earlier in his career, he was a better defensive catcher. But there's debates about whether or not Salvador Perez is a Hall of Famer. I think he is. I think everything that he's done in his career, all the accomplishments I mentioned, and just sticking with this team and being a leader on this team, he's a Hall of Famer in my eyes. Maybe he's not first ballot. I think it'll be interesting to see how a player like Yadier Molina gets treated when it comes to the Hall of Fame, because through much of Salvi's career and Yadier Molina's career, they were compared quite often. So I think that Yadier Molina is a better defensive catcher than Salvador Perez is, but I think Salvador Perez is a better player offensively, but he also had great numbers defensively as well. So kind of see what happens there with Molina, and then we'll get a good grasp on how Salvador Perez's Hall of Fame case would go. But anyway, back to the Royals as a whole. I think one of the big pleasant surprises, is Maikel Garcia. Maikel Garcia is basically, first off, he has a better batting average than Bobby Witt Jr. does. He's hitting .310 with a .376 on base percentage. He's been weirdly one of the players that you can rely on when you need somebody to come through. And he's had a great little turnaround. Last season, he kind of lost his job, and it was this, what are we going to do with this guy? And he comes in, and he's been great. And you can pair him with Bobby Witt Jr. and hopefully a Vinny Pasquantino that continues on the right track, and then maybe a Salvi that turns it around. A good pairing with him. Jonathan India, who the Royals traded for. I think I might have spoken too soon a month or so ago saying that the Royals won the trade, the Brady Singer, Jonathan India trade. And that could still very well be the case because Brady Singer has not really been doing all that great in Cincinnati. But Jonathan India has been a little bit of a letdown right now to me. So need him to step it up as well, especially when you're traded from a team you're brought in. Like, hey, we brought you in because we think you're one of the missing pieces of a team that we think is really good. So would love to see him contribute more as well. The nice thing that the Royals have done, though, like we talked about MJ Melendez, who I said coming into the season is kind of make or break for him. Like at a certain point, some guys just don't have it. And they finally made the move with him and sent MJ Melendez back down to AAA. Now I'm expecting at some point in the very near future that the same thing is going to happen to Hunter Renfroe, who's just been about as bad as MJ Melendez has been. And the Royals just need to kind of cut ties with him and let players like Drew Waters and Mark Canha kind of take on that role and be a little bit more of a factor than they are. I think when you go and look at what the Royals are going to do if they're in a position to buy when it comes to the trade deadline is maybe try and go get an outfielder. And they obviously, if you've been following the farm system, Jack Caglione just got called up to AAA. He was mashing in AA. Now he's up in AAA. I assume he'll probably play 40 to 50 games there, and then they'll reevaluate and see if he's ready to be part of a major league club. And if he does at AAA what he does at AA, it's not going to take that long for him to get here, and that can be a piece that you add to an offense that can hopefully by that time they've kind of leveled out offensively and the pitching staff is still good, and then you're just adding another weapon in Jack Caglione rather than bringing him up to hopefully save the season. Let's just check out his minor league stats real quick. So he was in AA with Northwest Arkansas this year. He played 38 games. He had 175 plate appearances, 49 hits, 32 runs scored, 8 doubles, and 9 home runs with 43 RBIs. He's currently played just one game in Omaha so far, but he went 1 for 4 in that game with a strikeout. So obviously we need a little bit more time, but I would say give him 40 games and see where he is from there. That would put the timeline somewhere in July where the Royals would be possibly making a decision on adding him to the major league roster. But while the offense has been a little disappointing, there's still a lot of positives in this Royals team. Obviously, they won 16 of 18 games a few weeks ago. Now, I would like to see them win series against playoff teams. Like they were beating up on teams like the Rockies and the White Sox and the Orioles, and then they play Boston and lose the series to them. They play Houston, lose to them. They play St. Louis, who's been a little bit of a surprise, lose to them. And they need to beat the teams and compete with the teams and start taking series against better teams if you want everybody to look at them like they're a serious threat in October. which I firmly believe that the Royals will be part of the postseason for the second year in a row. That is all I have for today's episode of This Is Baseball. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.